convicted. Most of them have not been convicted of a crime. They're waiting for their day in trial. And to come out of that jail with horrific scars on your body, and some of them get killed before they get their day in trial. Back to Mr. Jackson, Stillwell Jackson. Imagine had he got murdered. Imagine if he was murdered in that trial, in that jail, before his trial ended, right? He could have been murdered because of these unconstitutional conditions of non-working locks and these shanks and knives being made by inmates. He could have been murdered. We would have never known he would have got acquitted, from the jury. So it's very important for the citizens of Fulton County to understand that these are innocent until proven guilty pretrial detainees who are coming out of that jail with horrible scars, horrible medical conditions, and some don't make it out at all.
Have you talked to Mr. Stillwell, given his YSL verdict? He'll be released at some point here.
I met with him last week.
I don't know if anxious is the right word, but given the conditions you're describing in the jail, what is his thought on eventually getting out of the jail soon?
I mean, clearly, like anyone else, he can't wait to be released from jail. But right now, he is very relieved that the jury acquitted him of all charges after being in this jail for 3 years and almost losing his life twice. We believe he will be out soon. But we're just thankful that he was able to be alive to see his non-guilty verdict.
And with this injunction of relief, do you take a position on, we've seen the back and forth between the county and sheriff, new jail, rehab this jail, what do you see on behalf of your plaintiffs as the ultimate answer?
This case has been filed, as you can see, against the Fulton County Jail, against Sheriff Labat and the chief jailer. For the reasons that were mentioned, it's difficult to hold the Fulton County commissioners liable for what happens at the jail, even though they fund the jail. Sheriff Labat ultimately has responsibility over the jail, so we believe that the proper place for blame here is at the sheriff's office, sheriff's department.
You also named a few corrections officers in the lawsuit as well. How grassroots do you see this problem as, and was that kind of part of the reason why you decided to include Lloyd's corrections officers?
Well, let me be clear. The employees were in the Davion Blake case, not in the class action. All right, the class action is just against Sheriff Labat and the chief jailer. For every case where you have detention officers who ignore conditions in the jail and they know that their inmates or detainees are put in a dangerous condition and they don't do anything about it, it's called deliberate indifference. And in Davion Blake's case, those officers were aware that he was in a dangerous place. He had been stabbed several times before he was killed, and they did nothing to protect him. And that's unconstitutional. So that's why we were able to list them separately in the Davion Blake case.
So I just want to, if you don't mind, just to clarify. So there's a class action lawsuit that's for injunctive relief. That's against Fulton County Jail
And the chief jailer.
And
Chief jailer.
The chief jailer and against Sheriff Patrick Labat.
Okay.
Right.
And then there's this separate lawsuit for Davion Blake.
Right.
Right. And then you said the lead plaintiff is Shannon Jackson. And
Not for that one. The Shannon Jackson and Kendi Hambrick are the lead class action plaintiffs.
Okay.
Davion Blake that's a separate case just for his estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just need to get that.
Sure.
Have you been able to talk to Sheriff Labat before you filed this class action, or are you just going to let the courts handle it and go through the legal process?
We believe that enough talking has happened, frankly. I mean, I have been suing the Fulton County Jail for many, many years, as you guys have followed, my career and all these cases that we've been filing for many years. The time for talking is over. And the time for just settling cases is also over. It's important to note that, these families should be paid for their loved ones being maimed and killed, no doubt about it. But the class action lawsuit, we need change in Fulton County. We need the jail to change. The state of Georgia has investigated the jail. Nothing happened. Fulton County commissioners have investigated the jail. Nothing's happened. U.S. Department of Justice has investigated the jail, issued their report. Now we want a federal judge to declare that the Fulton County Jail fixes problems.
And what's the tangible part of that? If a judge forces that, is it forcing the county to spend money to have more staffing and to fix these issues that, the things that get turned into shanks and the conditions there, or just what's the tangible part that our viewers can understand?
The tangible part is make all the necessary changes, such as staffing, such as the facility, so the inmates are not making shanks and knives from jail materials, sanitation procedures to make sure that these kind of horrible injuries don't occur, and then to make sure that the judge has oversight of the jail to report back to the court. So the court is satisfied that these changes have been made. And then the court can issue a ruling that is satisfied that the changes have been made. They have someone to answer to other than the Fulton County Commission, who does nothing. That's the point.
Devil's advocate on that point, because you and Sheriff Labat agree on quite a bit of this, actually. And so, he's been crying to the clouds for a while about staffing, about not having the funding to do some of the things they used to do to fix up the jail. Could it come to a point where, the Fulton County Commission may need to be involved? And I know we run into that question with soccer and union.
Right, right. And that's a thorny legal issue for us as lawyers. If we sue the Fulton County Commissioners, we get thrown out of court, right? They're not the sheriff. You can't blame them for the death of Davion Blake. What did they do to kill Davion Blake, right? So we have a hard time suing the commission, to your point. So we have to sue the sheriff because he does have responsibility and his officers do. But the court, to your point, can order the commissioners to make sure that the sheriff has what he needs to make the problems go away and to fix the problem. So we have the case against the sheriff, but I agree with you that the sheriff agrees with us about these problems. He needs the funding, but for legal reasons, we hope that the federal judge understands the legal issues that you brought up and that he's able to order the commissioners to do what they have to do to make sure that the sheriff has what he needs to fix the jail.
What have you heard from the families?
I'm sorry?
What have you heard from the families?
What have I heard? The families continue to be outraged. I mean, we get calls almost every day from someone in the Fulton County Jail who's outraged at what has happened. And they continue to just feel hopeless. I mean, even when you see these settlements that have happened, like the Sean Thompson settlement, you hear about other settlements, but the problems continue, right? It is time for the Fulton County to stop paying people off and to fix the jail. I mean, we have to, at some point in time, someone has to make sure, for all of our sake, this is all of our jail. All of us who live in and travel through Fulton County could end up in that jail for any possible reason. And what a horrible situation it would be if you can't make it out, if you come out, maimed or diseased somehow due to conditions. So everyone is exasperated with the issues in the jail because nothing happens. You come case after case, death after death. We're back here again, and nothing's changed. We're hoping that this class action lawsuit, finally a judge will have oversight and force these changes at the jail.
So once the judge establishes the class, who can join that class? Does it have to be people that have been to the jail and have come out alive? Can it be people that have unfortunately died?
You want to speak to that?
It's
Yeah.
people who have suffered what we call an acute injury, an injury that happened at the jail, not as something that was existing before, a provable injury that happened as they were detained in Fulton County Jail.
So they have to be alive.
Their families, if they died in the jail, and their families can prove that, as he's saying, that it was because of the jail conditions, they will be able to join the class action lawsuit.
And of course, you guys just filed this week. What's
Tuesday.
What's
Yeah.
next in the timeline?
Yeah.
Next, we're going to file a motion to certify class, where there'll be two judges that get to decide whether the class is adequately defined as to its scope and the people that can join. And then after that happens, we'll be handling damages issues and the real significant liability issues separately.
You don't
For
know, you don't know how long that might take.
That might take a long time.
Yeah, it could take some time, but we would imagine only a few months for the judge to make a decision to certify the class or not, and then we'll put a notice out to the public that the class has been certified, and if you have actionable damages, you are able to join this class action
This
lawsuit.
is Northern District of Georgia.
Atlanta, Northern District of Georgia. But spell your name for them in case they want to.
My name is Patrick, Patrick, last name Lead, Leed.
Can you spell the name of Hambrick for me, first and last, please?
Nken,
N-K-E.
Kengen, in Kenja, and Hambrick like it sounds, Hambrick. It's also on the lawsuit, which we'll email to you, but it's in Kenton Hambrick. Of course, Shannon Jackson, also known as Shannon Stillwell, you know his name.
Is it Jackson or Stillwell?
It's Jackson. He's been referred to in the YSL trial as Stillwell, but his legal name is Shannon Jackson,
Okay.
according to him. When I met with him, so I think he would know.
Okay.
I said, "Man, what is your name?"
Right. Let's start with that.
I've heard it so many ways, but he told me Shannon Jackson. Yeah,
Okay.
and he signed my document, Shannon Jackson. So I'm going to take his word for it. That
And
that's
he is the lead plaintiff in the class action lawsuit.
he
Not
and
in the-
well, there are two. He and Kenton Hambrick.
are the lead plaintiffs in the class action lawsuit.
Correct.
But the separate one is Davion Blake.
The estate of
For
Davion
damages.
Blake for the life of Davion Blake. He was killed. So yeah,
Yes.
his family is bringing that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
My last question, what's your hope for clients like Mr. Jackson that's still in custody or everyday new detainees are coming in? It seems like the county and sheriff are obviously at a stalemate here, but
They
the
are.
process you're describing is months until it's, classified as a class action
Right.
lawsuit, then we go through the whole legal process of just
Right.
that suit. You could be talking about years here.
Absolutely.
What is your hope that the county and sheriff can do during that year-long process before you can get that relief?
Well, I mean, look, we all know the issues. I mean, we've talked about them for years. I mean, we hope that just by filing this lawsuit, that the Fulton County Commissioners will do more to help repair the jail before the judge has to order them to do so. We hope they just take it upon themselves to, in the pending time that you're talking about. It could take years. So our hope is that the Fulton County Commissioners will make changes before the judge orders them to do so. Yeah, but also, the families must be compensated, obviously, for those who have been injured. But I just want to stress enough that, it's not just about compensation, because it's not fixing the problem. We'll be here 10 years from now talking about another 100 deaths in the jail. But we really, really want systemic change. We want the judge, again, to order and oversee the changes at the jail to make sure that they happen.
So it's adequate for any new detainees coming in?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and not to mention that, this is for people who are there now, but, I mean, it has to be fixed for the future. I mean, we have to fix this jail at some point in time. It can't just go on as business as usual with everyone, federal, state, local. We all know the problem, but no one's doing anything about it. Hopefully the judge will.
This is more just a random question, but if the judge does.
All right, taking you out to that press conference live as a class action lawsuit being announced against Fulton County Jail leaders. I just want to recap briefly because we did hop in the middle of that conversation, bringing you as much of that live press conference as we could. This class action lawsuit has two lead plaintiffs on it, and one of those names has come up time and time again in the news. Shannon Jackson, or as he is better known as Shannon Stillwell, or SB, a co-defendant and center of the YSL trial in its final moments that we saw play out. Now part of this class action lawsuit, Shannon Jackson, along with Kendrick Hembick, are the two names that were discussed here. They were incarcerated persons, inmates at the Fulton County Jail that personally said they experienced conditions and treatments that they feel violated their rights. Shannon Stillwell, as you heard from lawyers that we took you out to just moments ago, was stabbed 3 times in the jail, according to those attorneys. And the big message that they were driving home over and over again during this press conference that we just took you to was that this class action lawsuit comes as a call for something to be done at a judicial level for the inmates that are held at the jail that are innocent until they have their day in court and are proven guilty. They are pretrial detainees. And so the jail, of course, over the past several months and years, facing intense scrutiny over crumbling conditions, inmate safety, the Department of Justice even going as far as to launch a federal investigation into the jail, and Patrick Labat himself, who is named in this document, has previously stated that there is some much needed attention to this facility. So we are unpacking the details of this class action lawsuit, and we'll have more information for you on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. Our Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon is also digging into this, and he will have more for you on Atlanta News First in our evening hours. Thank you so much for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus. We are going to continue to bring you the latest coverage on all things happening here in our community and beyond. So stick around as we bring you back to Local News Live.